Come on, let's do this.
Ready.
I'm ready. Ready or not, here we come.
I've never been more ready.
You've never been more ready? Well, welcome everybody to Long Haul Marriage. Glad you're back. Settle in, get comfy.
Here we go.
We're going to talk about a book. So if you've been following us on, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the stuff, you have seen that the book is out. The book inspired by none other than my beautiful wife, Jamie, and it's called A Testament to My Wife, A Light for the Lost, Confused Soul. And we've had some really, really, really positive feedback from people who've already read the book. If you haven't picked it up, it's on Amazon. You can go and just search A Testament to My Wife and it'll pop up. You can get it on ebook or paperback. And we would love we'd be honored if you would pick up a copy and read and share it, give it as gifts. So what we wanted to do today, I wanted to interview Jamie about your experience reading the book.
Wow. Okay.
So, I thought we could go through. I want to talk about just the contents. The little chunks that I decided to write about. There are 13 chapters, and I thought we could go through just chapter by chapter, talk about what the the title of the chapter and what that signifies, and then I would love to hear just your thoughts as we go through just on each one.
All righty.
Just what struck you. And I know, obviously, it's about you and you were the inspiration for the book, but you were moved in a way in a couple of ways that I didn't really expect, I guess. I mean, I expected you to be proud of it and honored and humbled, but just some of the stuff that you asked me after you read it, just about my inspiration that was, I guess, beyond you. So we maybe talk about the process, some things that, again, you've mentioned before, but I think before we were talking more veiled. I know we said, hey, it's a book, but we were just talking about me working on this project, this mystery project. So now we can just speak freely about it. It's out and people know it. They've seen it. I want to say this. If you're in one of the countries that is listening religiously to our podcast, when I know you're out there, man, let us know if you can access this, because it looks like it's in, all these different countries on Amazon. But if you can't get it on Amazon.com, because like Amazon.uk and in Canada and all over the world. The Amazon.fr or something for the French. Matter of fact, Celine, hopefully you'll pick up your copy. She's in the book.
Yeah.
But so I wanted to do that. Let's go through, and if we can do that in a timely fashion, if not, maybe this will be a two-parter.
Yeah, I would love that. Let me first say, because probably people don't really know this, but I read this as soon as everyone else could have access to it. So
right, you didn't.
You asked me along the way, do you want to read it? And I didn't. I wanted to wait until you were finished with it. Yeah. And so
you did.
And there were always some because you ordered several copies ahead of time. Yeah. So you were done, but you were trying to you were still kind of editing it, and you were trying to decide on the final cover. So we have probably like 6 copies that you ordered from Amazon for us just to look at. Well, I never did look at one of those. To me, it felt like if I were to open my Christmas presents before Christmas.
Early.
So I just did not want to, I wanted you to get your thoughts all together for it to be complete. And then I wanted to read it. So
hey, first let's talk about the cover.
Let's talk about the cover. It's beautiful.
I started out. So I started out with wanting a silhouette, and I've got one of you with this, like standing in front of a beautiful sunset, and so we see you silhouetted, and it's your back, and you've got your hand reaching down and holding the hand of one of our grandkids, and I just thought, and we had talked about a lantern maybe or a lamp, and you're looking, just the light, signifying the light for the lost, confused soul. And here you are, you signify, just some wisdom and I just thought that the age with you contrasted with the grandchild, that would be kind of a cool deal. Then that morphed into you sitting on a swing holding Rue. Mm-hmm. And then we went from the real picture to then making it kind of cartoony and even a Van Gogh-ish, kind of mm-hmm. AI rendition or rendering. But it was, none of them, were it, right? And then I found this picture of you standing in Lake Grapevine baptizing someone at sunset. And
shout out to Leah.
Okay. Shout out to Leah.
Hey to Leah, my sweet friend.
Just
yes.
a beautiful picture. And I mean, the colors in that sunset and the way, you've only got so many tools when you self-publish on Amazon, and the way it just worked with where the title sits and it's right on the horizon and you've got the sun setting right there kind of by the word wife. Turn around. Let me see that mm-hmm. one. Because you've still got the proof.
I've got the not for resale copy.
But yeah, so it's cool. It's like that sunset is just punctuating the title. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's the title of the book. That's mm-hmm. Jamie standing in Lake Grapevine baptizing someone. Mm-hmm. So that's awesome. Yeah,
it's beautiful. It looks like it's a filter or something crazy, but I can attest this is
just iPhone.
You taking it on your dumb iPhone.
And that was like an 8 back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember if Leah listens to this, she can remind me of what the year was, but it may have been, I don't know if it was 2020, 2021, who knows, but several years ago.
Yeah.
And so the picture beautiful. Itself is beautiful. What it represents, baptizing sweet Leah in Lake Grapevine, that was such a special, special day.
I did realize after I put that on the cover that I should have probably included you baptizing like 200 people over the last 20 years. That'd be that's for the next one. I've already got 2 ideas for chapters in a sequel.
Wow.
You had to stop somewhere.
Well, okay, so are you going to ask me questions? So
what were you going to say?
I
kind of interrupted you.
I really was just going to let everyone who's listening know I read this right along with everybody else.
Oh, okay.
So I read it probably ahead of everybody, but not by much. Only, there are probably like really fast readers who probably read it in a sitting and beat me by a couple of days. But it just came out like this last week, and this is when I read it. And I knew the first time when I sat down, I think everyone was gone. I don't know. I'm never here at home all by myself, but for some reason it was super quiet. I sat down to read, and just in looking at the front cover, the cover, then you open it up and just look at the title of the book, and then Brian Hackney, and then our little symbol, our logo, Long Haul Marriage, Publishing, Aurora, Texas, 2025. That made me emotional. Then I opened up to the table of contents, and I could not even read the name of each chapter without getting emotional. And then I started the dedicated, the dedication at the beginning and the forward. Mm-hmm. And just, it was almost like it took my breath away just a little bit. It was, okay, and this sounds dramatic. Okay. So take it for whatever it's worth. But that first chapter that I read, like all that I just told you, and then leading into the first chapter, I felt this underlying, it wasn't anxiety at all. It was this like shaky feeling inside, like a slight tremor. And I don't know what that's about, but it's like I think I had watched you come in here and work your little heart out, and just wondering what all is he writing. And I am now getting to open up.
Just the anticipation of what it contains, like what I chose. And because I've lived this life, I can attest, all of this is true. I approve this message. All of this is true. I just wondered what all you would get into. And so just starting, it's almost like when you sit down, you've been waiting for this movie and and you're in the theater and you have your popcorn and your Coke and the music swells and you just start getting this kind of like,
kind of like this giddy feeling inside, like you're just, you're kind of shaking inside. So I can't describe it. It was such a surreal feeling. I'm sitting here holding this book that my husband wrote about me and just feeling like wrapped up in this warm blanket of grace, being seen, being known, being fully loved. I can't just really love explain
and affection and gratitude for me. I mean, it was just,
I was overwhelmed.
And you could say the way you were just pumping that up and people, the anticipation or the excitement, it's like, yikes, like, and I kind of say that it's pretty daunting to say, why in the world would anyone like feel like that presumption, like I'm going to write a book that like, who's going to read this? But like I say in the foreword, it's like, I got over that because this was for you. And if nothing else, you and our kids and our grandkids. I mean, just to have, and so there wasn't that, will they like this or will they think this is crap? I mean, I was very proud of what I was inspired to write and what came out. I mean, that was cool. I wasn't like, I hope they like it, but it was kind of giddy, like giving you a present. I couldn't wait for you to open it because I knew it would be just a cool gift for your heart. And so chapter 1 was, by the way, and she's talked about reading it, quickly. And I mean, it's 170 pages. It's a 5x8 book I end up going with. And so it's like 36,000 words. It's pretty average for this style of book. And it's what I'm seeing, ChatGPT was telling me that this is kind of average for nonfiction, these days. And, people aren't wanting to, some want to sit down and read a novel, but for a memoir, a kind of a dedication, love letter to someone, I just, it is what it is. It came out right. So, but if you do like to consume something fairly quickly, I think this is your book. And kind of before we get into the chapters, what I know a bunch of your friends obviously are going to get it, and our family and people who love you, and a lot of women. But I'm just struck with how this could be such a gift for men, and some of my friends who've reached out to me, how this can inspire them to, if nothing else, not to even, yes, to appreciate you and our marriage, but to appreciate from the perspective of themselves, a husband, to start looking for things that they appreciate and love and are grateful for about their wives. And then to learn to express that in any way, whether it's writing a book or just, telling them. So that's the deal, I think, can be very helpful. So I hope a lot of husbands and men will pick up this book as well.
One thing, I know we're not getting right into it, but I wanted to say with kind of what you're talking about, I loved the way how with each chapter you kind of showed it in a way where this is something about Jamie, that this is how I see Christ in her life, or how she shows me Christ. But I know the backstory to that, and you wrote a little bit about the backstory. Almost every one of the chapters that you wrote about has kind of a joking little part of it about how that used to annoy you about me, how that thing like drove you crazy, or you thought it was wrong, or you thought it was weird, some attribute or characteristic about my personality, because there are plenty of those. And so we've talked about this over and over on this podcast, but how every single day you can wake up and you could say, man, I'm going to sit down and write in my journal 5 things that drive me crazy about Jamie. And you could, and our day would be pretty crappy.
Yeah.
And I would feel criticized.
We've tried that.
We have done
those days in our marriage.
But then you can also just as easily sit down and write, these are 5 things that I really, really appreciate about Jamie. And so in this book, what I love is that it's not just like, let me just write 13 chapters of doting on Jamie. And because we've just always been this gushy love story. I mean, we have been to hell and back. We have been so critical. We have seen the worst in each other. We have said the worst things to each other. Go back to our first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes of this podcast, and you will hear that story. But what I love is this is really a testament to us growing up together and learning to love each other, flaws and all.
For sure. And I think this captures, you'll see the transformation. You know, I talk about my own transformation, you know, our transformation and the growth and the evolution of our relationship, and really the evolution of me, like scales falling from my eyes, if you will, and allowing me to truly see you for who you are. You know, that whole I love you for how you make me feel, that immature stage of love that brings most of us to the altar. You know, that's where we get married usually, these young people. That's really not about the other person. It's selfish. And I write about that. And then, or, you know, maybe you graduate to, I love you for what you do for me, but it's truly getting to the place where you can love someone for who they are and really appreciate it. I mean, first, just again, have your eyes open to see them for who they are and appreciate that, not wanting to change them, but learning to value that. Can I actually value or treasure that? But trust it. Trust that there's a wisdom in there and something that can be instructive, you know, and something that can help, modify you, tame you, teach you, just let you see the world from another point of view. Yeah. And the Christ, for sure, that is embodied in you. That's, and I say it in the book, but, you know, I don't know where my faith would be if I didn't see that there was an actual manifestation of the Christ in a human being. Like, yeah, that's possible. It's for sure possible, and you've shown it. So, yeah. So number one, chapter 1 is speaking of sacrificial love. So talk about in sacrificial love chapter, kind of what stuck out to you. And not to put you on the spot.
No problem. I wish I honestly would have had a highlighter and just highlighted some of my favorite things like I do in some, but I almost felt like I can't taint this book. I can't write in it, but I
go back through.
I certainly can. So I loved the first chapter just because it was a kind of a great way for you to set up where this book came from, why you wrote it in the first place. And
I just talk about at first how we're all selfish. Like I said, we come to marriage selfish. And if you don't see yourself as that, you know, maybe you need to. I just think it's human nature to be selfish. So, but I was extra selfish, and living with someone who was kind of right off the bat, you know, selfless and way more in tune with other people's needs and taking care of them, and, you know, acts of service as your love language. It was pretty indicting on me, you know, not just convicting, but it was like an indictment on, dude, you're selfish. And it took me a while to, you know, at first I was kind of annoyed, like you said, by your, and it would even, you know, accuse you. I talk about how, you know, it threatened at worst, you know, if you were, you know, being or showing attention to a male just because of my previous betrayal stuff. But also just like, man, you're nosy, or you're just, you know, taking care of everybody else, you know. Where's that coming from? And learning to really appreciate just how concerned for other people that you are. And it's just like, wow. So I had to capture that in chapter 1.
So I think that was a great way to set it up. And there was a part that you talked about on page 15, when talking to couples about their marriage, we always say a little goes a long way. So how you don't have to schedule some big vision retreat or some big out of town expensive thing, but how about you just ask your spouse to go out back and spend about 10 minutes looking at the sunset together. So in every chapter, you talked about kind of something about my personality, or, you know, or like how you used to see it as kind of a negative thing or an annoyance, but now you really appreciate it. But then you also, I think, invite the readers to be a part of it as well. Like, this is something that you can share in your relationship as well.
One of the things I just think in Christianity, so there's a lot of Christian stuff in the book, right? I mean, it's for Christians and non-Christians alike. But, I quote Philippians 2, 3 and 4, where it says, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. And I'm like truly, who does this? So in Christianity, there's just a lot of hypocrisy. I don't think we even notice that. I just think many times most of us aren't living that way. And Jesus had tons of grace and forgiveness. I mean, grace for a lot of stuff. But where you see most of his judgment, it's on like hypocrisy, and especially towards like people who set themselves up as religious leaders. The Pharisees and Sadducees. But it's like, I mean, it's like, man, we talk a good game in Christianity, but I just talked about in Philippians that passage, you literally do that. And so that was one of the kind of the main themes of chapter 1.
And I'm amazed at the stories you remembered to pull in to each chapter. So one of the stories I loved in this one, because I haven't always ask for what I've needed or wanted. Some of the time because I didn't even know what I needed or wanted because I was so unaware.
Right.
And so one of the stories you told was, which I feel like, thank you, Holy Spirit, for going before me. But the story was when you woke up from a dream, but it was like you were awake.
Oh yeah.
In the dream.
Yeah.
And so we had a dresser at the end of the bed in our old house. And I was sitting up on the dresser, leaning forward,
and you
saying,
lean forward.
Help me.
Yeah. That was
and
scary.
I thought, wow, thank you, Holy Spirit, because I didn't even know how to say, help me, or this is what I need help with, or am I even allowed to say, I need help with this? Or did I feel like, gosh, come on, Jamie, you should be strong enough to do a lot of this by yourself and not even have to ask for help, or be a martyr, and don't ask Brian for help. Let's see how long it takes him to offer to help. So maybe a million different reasons why I didn't ask for help. But I think that just showed the Holy Spirit, even before I knew what to ask, said, here, hold my beer. Just kidding. Let me go before you and tell him what you need. You need help. And that was such a sweet story, because I remember you coming to me, like maybe even waking me up in the night.
Yeah.
And just saying, like you were shaken to the core, kind of sweating, and like your heart was beating, like it had really.
And I've only
happened.
had 2 of those, and I remember both of them very specifically.
And I was like, yes, Holy Spirit, you're amazing. Because it
got me off my selfish butt.
Well, it killed 2 birds with one stone.
I mean, I was, doing what most men do, working really hard outside of the home. Yeah. And letting you just carry the weight of the.
And because I never really said what I needed,
you're a machine.
I wasn't doing
and
you
I
any
took
favors.
Advantage of that. Yeah.
So it killed 2 birds with one stone. It let you know I needed help, and it let me know, speak up. Don't hold that in for whatever reasons you're holding it in. So love the stories that you remember from each chapter.
And then chapter 2, what is a woman? And I just thought, again, what a great, just instead of getting all preachy about a lot of I call it the cultural Kool-Aid that women are drinking and men are drinking about women today and men, and kind of this backlash and, the patriarchy and the tyrannical patriarchy, the oppression of all men are narcissists, all men are, fill in the blank. Who needs them, right? It's just women power. Here we are, hear us roar, which may sound like I'm even right now being derogatory against that. No. I mean, have there been atrocities and horrific, things that have happened in history, men towards women, culturally, women being second-class citizens, held down and oppressed, and had to fight for the right to vote and be heard and be equals, and all that's there. And we're not denying that, but it's the pendulum swing that's gone now too far. Instead of correcting something, it's like now we're doing the slingshot. But instead of even talking about that like explicitly, what's implied just from the contrast of I just like who you are and what is a Proverbs 31 woman, so if you're somebody who puts any weight on the words of Solomon, supposedly this wisest dude who ever lived, who wrote, the Proverbs 31, or whoever the writer of Proverbs was, it's this Proverbs 31, a wife of noble character who can find. And basically I said, I did. And I just talk about who you are and how you look a lot like this woman that's described in Proverbs and what that means. And it's I want to read one part of that on page 24. So she is clothed with strength and dignity, demonstrating her inner fortitude and resilience. I said, what part of this is weak, oppressed, or second class? And basically I said, what I'm doing is comparing Jamie, you to this. I said, she is this woman. And I said, and she doesn't think she has to prove it. She doesn't have to put men down or show how independent she is, not needing a man. She doesn't have to scream about a gender pay gap or debate equality of outcome versus equality of opportunity. Jamie understands these issues, but isn't concerned in the least, not because she thinks them unimportant. Rather, her wisdom elevates her high above the pettiness of being heard or being right. She doesn't have to get hair extensions and lip fillers and board a penis-shaped rocket for a 10-minute ride to space for you to hear her roar. So there we go. I particularly like that.
Hey to Katy Perry.
Turn of phrase at the end. Yeah. But no, it was just, I'm going to talk about who you are and let the contrast just be what it is. And so I think that'll be really helpful for a lot of men and women, that chapter. So chapter 3, her word is pure gold. That's just about you being, when you say something, you mean it. And I don't just mean just being honest. I mean being dedicated and being like stubbornly locked in. If you say we're going to do something, if you commit to something, you're in. And I say, by the way, it's not lost on me that you're still married to me because you said until death do us part. You said I do.
I ain't quitting.
Now I know what that means. But it's just like, and you joked about it, but being annoyed many times through life because you said we're going to do something. I'm like, I'll get back with you on that. Like, I don't really want to commit. I want to keep my options open. But man, if you said we're doing it, we're doing it. And then I talk about like, we're up half the night. We've gone to, somebody called us for there's been a tragic situation. We're at the hospital till 4 a.m. We get home at 5 a.m. and we've said we were supposed to do something at 6:30 or 7 on a Saturday morning for some volunteer deal. And I'm just assuming, we're missing that. We haven't been, we've been at the hospital all night. And you're like, no. We're doing it.
We said
I'm
going.
Doing it. and you'd say, well, you can stay in, but and you meant it. Like, surely, I mean, truly, you were like, you can stay here, but I'm going. I'm like, dadgummit.
Because I remember so many times thinking, okay, he doesn't want to do this, but I feel we've committed to this. We need to do it. So I meant it when I said, you don't have to go. I'm going to go, but you do not need to go. Because what did happen sometimes, if you'll recall, is you would go, okay, let's go. But I heard about it. Like you weren't happy. You weren't pleasant.
I punished you. I made you pay for it. Way to go. You got us into this freaking thing.
So I'm no, you can stay. You don't have to go.
But it's man, your word is pure gold. So if you say something, you can take it to the bank. So that was what that was about. She sleeps like a baby. Chapter 4.
Amen. That's why I have that little sign beside my bed that says nap queen, and I mean it.
So it's not even just about your circadian rhythm. It's about your faith and your inner peace. And it's because you have just that inner, have done the inner work. You have peace and you have that inner fortitude and solitude, and you've got all the tudes that help you just trust that, man, when you close your eyes, you can sleep. You can rest your head on the pillow. It's integrity. It's knowing who you are. We talk about the above the waterline. We talk about the miracle of Jesus walking on the water and what that signifies. What you see is what you get. There's nothing hidden. So there's no 10% like most people. We live with that 10%, and we've got 90% below the waterline that's hidden. I just make that analogy that's like, Jesus was walking on the water. Literally, there was nothing hidden. Totally transparent. And what you see is what you get. And I said, that's the way you live. That's always nothing hidden, nothing pretentious, nothing that you won't allow others to see. And I think just that vulnerability in you, that lack of pretension. I mean, dude, you're like a magnet. People are drawn to that. Yeah.
Thanks, babe. So you used one of my favorite quotes at the end of that chapter, St. Francis of Assisi. You said, preach the gospel everywhere, and if necessary, use words.
Yeah, that is, you could sum up the book in that one. That is my favorite quote, Christian quote of all time.
Okay, this next chapter 5 on dogs.
On dogs is probably the first bit of comic relief, just talking about our dogs, but it gets into Jesse.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this chapter is it is pretty comical. I feel like so many of these chapters, I know these are stories that have happened to you and me and to our family, but I think so many couples can relate to this. Like what couples have not argued over their dogs in some form or fashion? And so, anyway, what's interesting about this is it's really funny. There's so many comical things in here, but it's also, I cried at this chapter, and Christian our middle son told me that he cried at work.
Yeah.
When he took a break and was reading this chapter.
Yeah, dog lovers are going to love it, and just pet owners, but it's I mean, there's just so many cool things about this, but it just shows how just loving you are in your spirit, and just tolerant and inclusive, and just how, these dogs can annoy me and you just not annoyed in the least, but also how they love you and they're your dogs. And they can sense evil when they see it in me, and but it sets up the next chapter on grief, and that's the title of chapter 6 is called Good Grief, because at the end of the dog chapter we talk about Jesse, our was 12-year-old, was that 12? Was he 12, 13?
No, not 13. I think
13?
Maybe 12.
12. Yeah, 12-year-old Rottweiler Aussie Shepherd mix, huge dog Jesse, who passed away a couple of years ago on New Year's Day, actually, and the surprise of that, and yeah, but Tinder dealing with that, but gets into then setting up, so not only the loss of our dog, Jesse, but then the loss of your brother Bart, the loss of your mom and dad, the loss of your sister, the loss of my mom, and then sets up obviously the loss of our 2-year-old son Corbin, and Corbin. And that story is chapter 7. It's probably the longest chapter in the book, and I talk about just being, again, very transparent as a writer, just how that was a tough. I every time I sat down to write it, I would find something else to do. I'd go back and read previous chapters, do some editing, and I just kept putting it off because I think it was a daunting task, obviously, just to relive and to rehash some of that stuff, to go through it, which it was a great exercise for me, very cathartic. Cried a lot of tears writing that, but also just, how do you tell that story in a succinct way?
That could be its own book.
It could be its own book, and maybe, one day, but also just which parts to highlight and how to not veer too much from the original project and make it about you. But again, I think that gave the entire book context, basically, because it's showing you're not some, zippity doodah, I've skipped through life unscathed. You've had the most dramatic, possibly the most painful thing any mom or woman or parent or person could go through, the loss of a child, especially at that stage of our marriage, at that age, at his age. And you not only survive, but you thrive. And my point, you chose joy. You've chosen beauty. You've chosen to live and to not medicate or to be bitter or to be, to live in depression or what have you, which again, God bless anyone who struggles with any of that. But it's just, again, a testament to you and the Spirit in you that you allowed Christ to heal you. And I think, you talked about the paddles part, life after death is the way I entitled the next chapter. Life after death. I think that's chapter 8. And I'm just talking about basically the aftermath and having to get through that and what God did to heal us and to pull us, out of the profound grief. So talk about that. You read that part to me that you really loved about CPR in Life After Death.
Yes. So those two chapters, of course, Corbin and Life After Death were, wow, that took me a minute to get through those, just because I felt like, okay, I'm bracing for impact because I knew what was coming. I lived it. And so it's not that I've never thought of it again, but I don't go over the details in my mind like you so carefully did. And I mean, you can only talk about some, but I think you did a masterful job of putting a million miles, a million emotions, so much of that story into just, two chapters. You did a really beautiful job at that, but both of those were very moving. I cried quite a bit reading those. But I loved how you wrote this, how you caught our attention. Like I knew what you were going to say, so it wasn't new to me, but like I found myself doing exactly what you said. You said, listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you. Read it twice, highlight it, come back to it as many times as you need. When you are dead, you cannot resurrect yourself. It is done by something, by someone outside of yourself. And you know what I did? I didn't highlight it because I didn't want to mark up the book yet. But you said read it twice, and guess what I did? I went back and I read it again. I did exactly what you told us to do in the sentence before. Man, that was... If you even just start there on page 110 and read through page 11, I just felt it build to the part where you said, wait, I feel something. I'm alive in all caps. And I just remember I was crying tears of everything, tears of joy, tears of knowing, like, yes, this encapsulates exactly how I felt, how we felt. And I think, you talked about just a minute ago about the joy that I live with. I believe that I can because I've experienced the depths. I've experienced the utter lack of joy. And so many days where I was dead inside, and I would ask myself just quietly, or maybe it was a cry to God, will I ever experience joy again? Like, this is not, I would tell him, this is not my personality. My personality is to be happy and to be hope-filled and to look for the best and to be a bright side girl. That's my personality. Yeah. And that has been completely stripped from me. And I guess this is my life.
I tried to articulate.
I guess this is how I'm going to live.
I literally tried to articulate that. It was like a double whammy. Of course, you're devastated and sad and grieving. You lost a child, but it was hard to really articulate that part. But it was also like, wait, okay, I got it. Can I go through that and not be stripped of joy somehow, God? Like, you're hurting my feelings. Like, this is below the belt kind of thing. And I
truly feel like now we are living in the, whether it's, joy follows mourning, whatever that scripture is. And how restore what the locusts of Eden. I mean, like the locusts are done gone, and I think our crops have multiplied by exponentially. So it's almost like here you've experienced this much crap and this much hell. Let me now just show you what it's like to live with complete joy. And not that I feel like, man, we've just been punched in the gut over and over and over again in life, just like many, many people have. So it's not like, oh, we experienced that and now everything is roses. That is not how our life has been. But I think we're just able to take everything in stride and to be so, so grateful with every ounce of joy that we can.
And I think, find. And you may think, well, wow, they've lost a child, but I think there's so much in honestly on grief, good grief, and then on Corbin and life after death, those three chapters, like 8, 9, and 10, that can resonate with, did I get the chapters right on that? No, 7, 8, and 9. But 6, 7, and 8.
Yes.
Sorry. 6, 7, and 8. So chapters 6, 7, and 8 that literally every single married couple can identify with, and parent. If you're a parent. So I would say this, because of what's contained in that very personal stuff, but I think the truth that you just said, like joy follows suffering and life follows death. There's no nonstop life from box 1 to box 3. You have to go through your death before there's a resurrection. You have to go through suffering before there's great joy. I mean, that's the truth. And we hate it, but it's the enlightenment at gunpoint. And we talk about this in the book. So I think if anyone out there is hearing this and you know of a family that has lost a child, a loved one, and they're dealing with grief, and this book would be really good for just those 3 chapters. And so I would just tell you guys this: if you can't afford to gift this book to that couple that you're thinking of, email us and we will send them a copy of that book. Okay.
Yes.
I'm just telling you, we got you. Because I would love for them to be able to read those at least those 3 chapters, if nothing else.
Amen.
And then chapter 9 is Everything Belongs. That talks about your inclusive nature, the way that you include everyone. And then once someone's under your wing or in your Rolodex, they're never coming out. You collect people like you collect stuff.
I am a hoarder of people.
We talk about the hoarding thing at the first of that.
Yes.
And then chapter 10 is Whither Thou Goest. And I use that old language because I love it. And it's the biblical story of Ruth and Boaz. And I just thought, it was your undying, unswerving commitment to me and to follow me and to trust me and to believe in me. And with all the twists and turns of our life and me, feeling called out of my finance degree and out of the business world into ministry, and then eventually into planning a church and into leaving that to start long haul marriage, and how you've just never ever doubted that. And I said that's probably the greatest gift you've given me our entire marriage is the fact that you've always supported me, never doubted me. And you've always believed in me. And that has encouraged me, that whole wind in my sails, wind beneath my wings, whatever you want to say, that's been there. And it's such it's a gift. And so hopefully that can be, again, inspiring to other wives. who can maybe adopt more of a mentality.
Because it wasn't always easy.
Right.
All of those changes were hard for a girl who probably, we've always joked about this, but 36 years ago, we went to a church over in Dallas. And I always joke, if it weren't for you, I'd probably just still be going to that church, working in the 2-year-olds or whatever I'd be doing over there, and not ever have, I would have missed out on so much of life. And so, although it was hard for me, because change typically is a little bit harder for me than it is for you, it has been one of my greatest joys to be able to trust you and follow you.
And then chapter 11 is She is a Gift. And I talk about what not only you're a gift to me, but the gifts that God has given you. And those gifts, that are just, and we talk about your gift of just, compassion, hospitality, and speaking and teaching and writing. I mean, good night. So I can't wait for your book. So that's chapter 11. And then chapter 12, Show them what you're made of. I talk about what people don't see. They see the external. They see Jamie, and they can get in contact with you and the Christ in you, but they don't see the hours of silence and solitude and quiet. And it's the stuff, and even those dark nights of the soul, and all of those things that God has done in the silence, in the interior, and that has built you and made you who you are. And so that's what Show them what you're made of is. And then chapter 13, Long Line of Love, I talk about the love and the legacy that has been there from your mom and dad, their mom and dad, and how it's rolled downhill to you, and the legacy that now you're building with me and with our kids and our grandkids. And just what a beautiful thing that is. Yeah.
Well, I love it, babe. And I feel honored. I feel so proud. I'm so grateful for you being open to this nudge. You felt it and you acted on it. And it has been an incredible front row seat that I've gotten to sit in to watch this come to fruition. I know that it was something that, it's a passion project. It was something that came just exploding from your heart onto those pages. And so it is a testament to me, but I think it's a testament to God, to God's work in my life.
Yeah.
It's a testament to our marriage, and a testament to you. Have you ever heard, look at a wife, and like, if she seems miserable, look at her husband or something like that. I don't remember how the quote went, but I always think, there's a lot that has to do with my joy because of who I get to be married to. So I am super proud of this book. It feels a little bit strange that I would say, y'all get this book about me.
Self-promoting, huh?
Yeah. It doesn't, to me, I'm not really that kind of person, like me, but I will tell you, I don't feel that way when I'm talking about this book. I think it is a masterpiece. I think it's a work of art. I think it is beautiful. I can't wait. I didn't want to be finished with it. I can't wait till you write your next one. I don't feel like, I'm promoting myself, because it's all true. It's not it's not a, what is that? A fiction story?
Right.
Story. It's true, and it is about me, but I so believe that it is the Christ in me that I can't deny that is good.
And there's so many.
I'm not going to hide it under a bushel.
that I think again that will resonate with people, obviously, that are believers or Christians, but would resonate also with people who aren't. And so don't think we have to market it inside this tribe, if you will. And I mean, just. We don't do CTAs much, but I want to do a call to action on this one. I truly want to ask everyone who's listening to just pray about one person that you could gift this book to, because we want to get the word out. If you're a business and can carry this book in your bookstore or in your place of business, if you could give it to your employees or share it as a Christmas present. Just know that every bit of this goes to, obviously, to support long haul marriage. But I think I said it in the video I released. It's more than just marriage. There's so many truths contained in this book, and I am very proud of it. Not just, hey, I'm proud of my wife. Come read about Jamie.
Right.
It's about the truth contained in this book. I believe it reveals the character and nature of God. It does talk about the manifestation that Christ is still in the business of manifesting in people. It's called the Holy Spirit. He has taken residence in us. Sorry, I'm getting real close to the microphone. It's I think it's inspiring, and it can be instructive, and it can be just encouraging for men and women both. And like you said, I think in one of your posts, kids and young and old, men and women. So
yes,
we would so much appreciate if you would just get the word out. I mean, share. If you read it, share a post on social media about it. We ask you to do that.
Yeah. And if you can go to Amazon and review it. So they make it super easy. If you go look it up on Amazon and then scroll to the bottom, down to the very bottom, it says leave a review. And so you can do, of course, 5 stars and then write something about the book. That's super helpful too. That'd be awesome.
Yes, it would mean a whole lot to us, just because we do want to promote this. If you're involved in ministry of any kind and you want someone to come speak on marriage and talk about this book and be able to get the book out there, we'd love to do that. If you are doing your own podcast, we would love to be guests on the podcast to talk about the inspiration of this book and talk about it. So we're in it, and so this is we're excited that it's out, and we would love. Don't think if you see a post like, oh, somebody's already done a review or somebody's already posted theirs, I don't want to do too much. You can never promote this too much. We would love it if you would just hop on, show your little face, and you can, or just hold it up and make a little quick post. You don't even have to do a video. You can just do the whole still picture with the little caption. So that is it for today, guys. Thank y'all for coming along for the journey. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Babe,
hey, I love you. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Y'all go get the book, A Testament to My Wife.
All right, let's go eat.
Okay.